So our today's topic of discussion will be the last part of conic section, that is hyperbola. Okay. So till now we have seen four conics, right? What are they? Three conics. What are they? Circle. So we saw what is the definition of circle. Circle is what? It is the locus of all points in a plane which are equidistant from a fixed point. Right. Second, we saw what is a parabola. So what is a parabola? It is a locus means the set of all points which are equidistant from a fixed point and a fixed line. Then we saw what is ellipse. So what is ellipse? It is set of all points such that what will happen? Can you fill the statement? Sum of what? Distances from two fixed points is always a constant. And that constant value is 2a. Right? S1p plus S2p we found out to be a constant which is 2a. In a similar way, if you are able to define the set of all points in a plane, see, observe. If you are able to define the set of all points in a plane such that the difference of whose distances from two fixed points in the plane is a constant. So the only difference between ellipse and hyperbola is in ellipse, the sum of the distances from the two fixed points will always be a constant, whereas in hyperbola, the difference from two fixed points will be a constant, and obviously those two fixed points are called as foci. Right? Now observe the diagram, guys. So if I say F1 and F2 are two fixed points, so observe. If I take a line like this, F1 and F2 are two fixed points such that there is a point P in the plane. So I will be able to measure PF1 and PF2. So if PF1 minus PF2, when they say difference here, you might get a doubt. Should I take PF1 minus PF2 or PF2 minus PF1? That depends on where the point P is close to. Since they say difference, you need to choose the right way. To be more specific, the difference is going to be a positive value. So PF1 minus PF2, if it is a constant, then that particular shape that is obtained is what is called as a hyperbola. I'll show you how to visualize it. See. If I take this point as P1, then P1 F1 minus P1 F2 is a constant. Suppose I take another point P2 here. So what is the condition it should satisfy, guys? P2 F1 minus P2 F2 should also be a constant. Next, you take a point P3. P3 F1 minus P3 F2 should be a constant. Right? If you keep writing like this, if you are able to find all such points which are satisfying the condition, then the shape you obtain will be something like this. It's like one side of a parabola, but it's not a parabola because you will be able to get the similar kind of shape on the other side as well. So if you observe the diagram that is given, this curvature plus this curvature collectively is what is called as a hyperbola. Am I clear, guys? Right? So are you able to visualize? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Good. So See, in an ellipse, I'll just do a comparative study so that you can understand it better. When you talk about an ellipse, the ellipse was a closed shape, right? To be more specific, the oval shape was a closed one. So where you could find the endpoints of it, a comma 0 minus a comma 0, this point is 0 comma b and this point is 0 comma minus b, right? Whereas here what is happening is, it is open-ended. This curvature is open-ended. So we need to understand what are all the points and axes related to it. In an ellipse, what were the two axes that we discussed? One was major and minor axis. So how did we decide which is major and which is minor? So the major axis was the one which had a greater length. That is one way. Or I can say major axis is the one where the focus lies. So the line which is passing through the foci is what is called as major axis. I can say like that also. So a line which is perpendicular to the major axis is called as minor axis. In a similar way, with respect to a hyperbola, you don't have major axis and minor axis. Rather, you have two other names which are called as transverse axis and conjugate axis. So what do you mean by transverse axis? Looking at the diagram, what idea are you getting? If you are able to draw an axis that is passing through both the foci, I'm stressing on it, it should pass through both the foci. A line passing through both the foci is what is called as the transverse axis of whom? Of the hyperbola, right? And the axis which is perpendicular, listen, the axis which is perpendicular to the transverse axis and passing through the midpoint of the foci. Repeating it, the axis which is perpendicular to the transverse axis and passing through the midpoint of the foci is called as the conjugate axis. Am I clear?
One second, can you just repeat?
Which one should I repeat?
The axis definition.
Your voice broke. Which axis?
Could you repeat the conjugate axis, sir?
Conjugate axis, right? See, conjugate axis is the axis which is perpendicular to the transverse axis. And see, I cannot just like that say perpendicular to the transverse axis only, because if I draw an axis like this, this is not conjugate axis. So conjugate axis has to satisfy two conditions. One condition is it should be perpendicular to the transverse axis and it should pass through the midpoint of the foci. The midpoint of the foci here is the origin. In this diagram, it is origin. Okay.
Okay, sir, understood. Thank you.
Yeah. Now see. Now we need to know the other parts of it. I'm erasing everything. I'll make the diagrams clear. Now see. So the curve is cutting the transverse axis at 2 points. So the point where the hyperbola cuts the transverse axis is called vertex. Write it down. The point where the hyperbola cuts the which axis? Transverse axis is called as vertex. Next, the midpoint of the foci is called as the center. Clear? The midpoint of the foci is called as the center. Now listen. So I hope you're clear with all these definitions. Is there any doubt?
I have a doubt, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
So for transverse axis, we can identify it as the axis which is horizontal, sir.
No.
But then how can
Because
you identify, sir?
I'll tell you.
Question.
Because see, you have a hyperbola like this. See, for the time being, the hyperbola is given like this. It is not necessary that the hyperbola will have the concave side facing only the x-axis. You can have a set of curves like this also. This is also a hyperbola, right? So till
Yes.
now, from whatever you have learned from parabola, one point is clear that the focus will always lie on which side? On the concave side of the shape. This I've tested, right? So the foci is going to be here with respect to this kind of a horizontal shaped hyperbola. You cannot call it as horizontal hyperbola. For the time being, for us to understand, I'm just coining it as horizontal hyperbola. Okay. So this point is F2 and this point is F1. These are the foci. So what is the axis that is passing through the foci? That is what is transverse axis. Whereas for the vertical one, the foci will lie here. So
Okay,
to
sir,
answer your
understood.
question, now you're clear. So horizontal
Yes,
doesn't
sir.
mean transverse. Transverse means it should pass through the foci.
Understood, sir.
Okay, yeah, good. So that's why. See, I'll just read out everything here. Difference means I've explained what it is. Difference means you take greater value minus lesser value. That depends on where the point P is. So the two fixed points are called as the foci that we know. The midpoint of the line segment joining the foci is called as the center. The center is origin. The line through the foci is called transverse axis, and the line through the center and perpendicular to the transverse axis is called as the conjugate axis. Everything we have discussed, right? So the point at which the hyperbola intersects the transverse axis are called as the vertices. Vertices is the plural of vertex. Okay. Now comes the question. In the case of ellipse, we had x square by a square plus y square by b square is equal to 1. Where if at all a was greater than b, then we could have told that a is the length of the semi-major axis and b is the length of semi-minor axis. Semi-minor axis, not minor axis. Because minor axis length is 2b, semi-minor axis length is b. I hope you're able to understand this. Right? Now comes an important question. The hyperbola's equation is also going to be x square by a square and y square by b square is equal to 1. Only difference is you have a minus here. Okay, that can actually be derived, but we are not going to concentrate on derivation. We need to understand what this a and b are. Try to understand, guys. When I give you an ellipse, okay, this is the trickiest part. Concentrate, okay. You will say this is a and this is b, right? Both the points you are able to see because the curve is cutting both the points on the axis, right? Because it's a closed shape. Whereas here, what is going to happen is there is only one place where the curve is cutting. The other place we don't have. It is going to meet only at infinity. So how do you choose this A and B? What is the name of this A and B? That's what we need to understand. Here, if you write x square by a square minus y square by b square is equal to 1, this A is called as the length of semi-transverse axis. Okay. 2a is called as the length of transverse axis. So the replacement for major in ellipse. So major in ellipse is equivalent to transverse in hyperbola. Minor in ellipse is equivalent to conjugate in hyperbola. So here 2a represents length of semi-transverse axis. Then what will be represent, guys? Length of semi-conjugate axis. So concentrate. Here comes an important point. I'm not able to see the point B on the graph. So how do I define that B? That's what we need to understand. Okay. Now see. I'll mark certain points. See, generally the focus point, how do we take? The focus point we will take as c comma 0 and minus c comma 0. All that a and that story and all comes after eccentricity, right? But in general, we take major axis as a, minor axis as b, and focus as c. Right? That is the general notation. So if I take the point B, concentrate, if I take the point B to be a comma 0, point A will be minus a comma 0, such that what is the distance AB, guys? It is 2a. What is 2a? That is the length of the transverse axis, right? So if I am able to draw a tangent, it's not a tangent, it has a technical name which is called as asymptote. Let's not get into those aspects. If I'm able to draw a line like this, okay, such that from the origin, okay, on this particular line I am able to find a distance C, and if this distance is a, this distance is already a, then if I drop a perpendicular, okay, so what I'm trying to say is, listen, so you have a curve like this, concentrate, this point is not given, this is a comma 0, right? So this is the center. What is the distance from center to the point B? This is A, point B, right? I'm taking only some part of the diagram. Now I'm clear. So this point is A. So if I draw a tangent at point A to this hyperbola, what will be the equation of this tangent? X equal to A. Because any line parallel to x-axis has the equation x is equal to constant. Is there any doubt till this point? Is there any doubt, guys? Okay.
No doubt.
So what I'm doing is, what is the distance from the center to the focus? Distance from center to any one of the foci. I'm asking only about distance. Don't worry about sign. Distance from center to foci is how much? C. So what I need to do is, first I've drawn x is equal to A. From the center, I can draw multiple lines joining this point, multiple lines joining this x is equal to A. Are you guys able to visualize this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In those lines, if I draw one of the lines in such a way that from point O, if I am able to meet point A exactly at a distance C, what is C? C is the focal length, distance from the center to the focus. If I am able to meet like this, then will I get a right angle triangle like this? Guys, you're following me? CA, I'll get a right angle triangle like this. If I call this point as, let's O, if I call this point as M, I'll get a right angle triangle like this, such that OM is C and OB is A. Then what will MB be? It is C square minus A square, root of C square minus A square. So if I drop a perpendicular here, this will also be root of C square minus A square. Am I clear? So if MB is root of C square minus A square, if I drop a perpendicular from M onto Y axis, from the point N to O, that is also root of C square minus A square. This root of C square minus A square is what is called as B. In a similar way, will you be able to find that root of C square minus A square at the bottom also? Is everything clear? Are you guys able to visualize it?
Yes, sir.
So that the total length n to n dash, that root of C square minus A square plus root of C square minus A square is called as the length of the conjugate axis. That's what we call it as length of conjugate axis. So what they have done in the book is, they have told if you are able to define a quantity B, which is root of C square minus A square, that is called as B, and 2B is called as the length of the conjugate axis. But how it has come, you have to visualize it. Clear? Shall I proceed?
Yes, sir.
Now listen. So now we are going to see the eccentricity of a hyperbola. So for ellipse, how do we define eccentricity as? It is defined as the ratio of the focal length to the distance. It is defined as the ratio of the focal length to the length of the semi-major axis. There also we define it as C by A. Here also we define it as the distance from the origin to the focus divided by the length of the semi-transverse axis. So here also it is C divided by A. So here what will happen is the value of E will be greater than 1 because look at the diagram, no? C is here, A is here, C by A is greater than 1. Okay. So I hope it is clear with all these things. With this, we are almost done with the theory part. So I'll give you an outline. So if you take any point P, X, comma, Y here, if you measure this distance and this distance, that is PF1 minus PF2 by using the distance formula and equate it to 2A, where 2A is the length of the transverse axis. When you do the derivation that we did similar to ellipse, you will get the equation of this horizontal, so-called horizontal hyperbola as x square by a square minus y square by b square is equal to 1. Similarly, if you do for a vertical hyperbola, you will get y square by a square minus x square by b square is equal to 1. That is, y and x will get swapped. Done? Now see. The last point that we need to know is length of latus rectum. Length of latus rectum for x square by a square minus y square by b square is equal to 1 is 2b square divided by. It is the same like how we got for ellipse. So you now by now everybody should have known what is latus rectum. So latus rectum is a chord which is passing through the focus and perpendicular to the transverse axis. Okay.
Yes.
So with this, the theory part is over. Now see. So hyperbola with foci on x-axis. So they will ask, what is the equation of transverse axis. So what is the equation of transverse axis? Y is equal to 0. Equation of conjugate axis, x equal to 0. This transverse axis, this conjugate axis. Foci AE comma 0, or I can say plus or minus AE comma 0. Fourth, eccentricity is equal to C by A, but what is C? C is root of A square plus B square, and A is A only. So how did I get C is equal to root of A square plus B square? Because B is equal to root of C square minus A square. Square on both the sides and rearrange, you will get C is equal to root of A square plus B square. Okay. Fifth, center. What is the center? 0 comma 0. Vertex plus or minus A comma 0. Length of transverse axis 2L. Length of conjugate axis 2B. Latus rectum 2B square divided by 8. Clear? So with this, we are ready to solve the problems.
So 1 minute to show it.
Sir, can you show the page, sir?
Yeah. I'll show it. I'll show you 1 minute. I'll just open the document, then I'll show. Now see. Now complete. Done? Now see, we'll do some problems. So first one is x square by 9 minus y square by 16 is equal to 1. So compare with what? X square by a square minus y square.
Minus y square by b square equal to 1.
That's right. So find the coordinates of the foci, the vertices, eccentricity, the length of the lattice rectum of the hyperbolas. So a square is 9, which implies a is equal to 3. B square is 16, which implies b is equal to 4. Here it is not the question of which is more and which is less. The equations are completely different. X square by 9 minus y square by 16 is equal to 1. Is horizontal like this. Okay. So what will be the foci? Foci will be plus or minus AE comma 0, because it's horizontal one. So A we know. What is the value of E, guys? E is equal to root of A square plus B square divided by A. So root of A square plus B square is 3 square plus 4 square, under the root is 5. 5 divided by A is 3. So foci will be how much? Plus or minus 5 comma 0. Vertex plus or minus 3 comma 0. So since they have told vertices, this is the vertex of the transverse axis. For conjugate axis, it will be 0, plus or minus 4. If anything is not clear, please ask. Conjugate axis. So eccentricity we have found 5 by 3. Length of lattice rectum 2b square divided by a. So 2 into what is the value of b square, guys? 16 divided by a, that is 3. 32 by 3 units. Clear?
So I have a
Yeah, tell me.
define vertex or even the conjugate axis.
Yeah, they've asked vertices. No? But so this is the problem with it, right? Okay, I'm sorry. You'll not write this because I'm extremely sorry, because vertex is the point where the curve meets the axis. There is nothing like conjugate, the vertices of conjugate axis. It is only plus or minus 3 because they've told vertices because 3 comma 0 is 1 and minus 3 comma 0 is 1. So other points are clear, right?
Yes, sir.
So we'll go to the next one. So let's do for the second one. So how to do the second one? So y square minus 16x square is equal to 1. So y square by 1 minus x square by 1 by 16 is equal to 1. So comparing with y square by b square minus x square by a square is equal to 1. So this is sorry, y square by a square. I told only x and y will get squared. So y square by a square minus x square by b square is equal to 1. So a is how much? 1. B is 4. Not 4, 1 by 4. Now tell me, how do you find the foci? So for that you need the eccentricity. Eccentricity is root of a square plus b square divided by b. There it was a square plus b square by a, no? So here it will be 1 plus 1 by 16, the whole divided by b is how much? 1 by 4. So how much is it? It is root 17. Did you guys understand what I did? So you have to remember one set of formulae. For the other one, you have to just replace everything with the other term. So here eccentricity is a square plus b square by a, whereas here it is a vertical ellipse. Sorry, the transverse axis is along y. So that kind of a hyperbola it is. So it is root 17. So what will be the vertices? Vertices will be 0, plus or minus be. So 0, plus or minus root 17
by 4.
4. Yes. Then what else is there? Eccentricity we have found. Length of lattice rectum. Tell me what is the formula?
2b square by
No. I'll show you. See. Eccentricity is root 17. It's matching. C by A root 17. Our answers are matching, right?
Yes, sir.
Vertices are root 17 by 4. Foci Did we find foci?
I think we wrote foci as vertex there. So.
Yeah. It's plus or minus a. See, actually, it is the same. It's plus or minus a because, see, this point is taken as a. No, this is a comma 0. Sorry, 0 comma a, and this is 0 comma minus a. So what will be the coordinates of these points? This will be a comma 0. No, sorry, the 0 comma a, and this will be 0 comma minus a. Okay. So vertices will be plus or minus a. That will be 0 comma. So 0 comma plus or minus 0 comma plus or minus 1 into root 17. That is the root 17. So what will be the length of the lattice rectum? Length of the lattice rectum is still 2b square by a. So 2 into b square is 1 by 16 divided by a. That will be 1 by 8. Is that right? So there is a mistake here. It is not a square, it is a. So it should be 1 by 8. So what is the answer given in textbook? Is there any printing mistake I have?
No, sir. It's the same.
1 by 2, huh?
Yes, sir.
B square is 1 by 16. How will it become 1 by 8? I think they have done a mistake, right? So y square by 16 minus x square by 1. If they have divided with 16 on both the sides, this side should have been 1 by 16. Are you able to understand what I'm saying? So is the question y square minus 16x square is equal to 1 or 16?
To 1, sir.
What is the one given in the textbook?
Given 1 only.
Sorry? It is 1, no?
Yes, sir.
I'm not. See, y square minus 16x square, is it given as 1 or 16 is what I'm asking. In the textbook.
That's the question, sir. Given 16, sir, in the textbook.
The voice is breaking.
Sir, given 16.
16, right? Yes.
Yes.
So I did it according to the question I have. I have it as 1 here. So if it is 16, then it is right. So, but according to the way I did, it is right. 1 by 8 is the answer. But otherwise, did you guys understand the logic?
Yes, sir.
Now see. Find the equation of the hyperbola with the foci on y-axis. So foci is on y-axis means transverse axis is here. So 0 comma plus or minus 3. Sorry, 0 comma 3 and 0 comma minus 3. It will be like this and this will be like this. What are the vertices? This point is 0 comma root 11 by 2. This point is 0 comma minus root 11 by 2. Right. So for this kind of a parabola, hyperbola, what will be the equation? Y square by a square minus x square by b square is equal to 1. What is a, guys? A is root 11 by 2. AE is how much? 3. B square is equal to a square e square minus a square. So how did I get this? B square is equal to a square e square minus a square. Because b is equal to what? Root of c square minus a square. But what is c? C is nothing but a. Squaring on both the sides, I get a square e square minus a square. So a square e square is 9 minus a square is 11 by 2. So this will be 7 by 2. 18 minus 11, yes, 7 by 2. So the required equation will be y square divided by a square, that is 11 by 4, minus x square divided by b square, that is 7 by 2, is equal to 1. This will be the required equation of the hyperbola. Clear?
So, but the answer in book is given y square by 11 by 4 minus x square by 25 by 4.
25. 25 by 4.
Yes, sir.
B square is equal to root c square minus a square. Yes, I made a mistake. Can you tell me what is the mistake I made? This step.
11 by 4.
It is 11 by 4. So conceptually, there is no doubt. 36 minus 11 is 25 divided by 4. So it is. Now it is right, no? So find the equation of the hyperbola whose foci are 0 comma plus or minus 12 and the length of the lattice rectum is 36. So solution is AE is 12. 2b square by A is 36. Right? So what we can do is 2 into, can I write b square as a square minus a square divided by a is equal to 36. Right. 2 into, in the place of a square e square, I will substitute 144 minus a square is equal to 36a. So 144 minus a square is 18a, which implies a square plus 18a minus 144 equal to 0. Is there any doubt till what I did? So what are the factors of 144 that you can find? 1, 144, 2, 72, 4, 36, 8, 9. 8 and 18. So 16, 9. So 2 into a square e square, that is 144 minus a square. A square plus 18a minus 144. So what are the factors we can find such that you get 18? Oh, sorry. Okay, I've taken it right only. A is equal to 12 and 2b square by a is equal to 36. That's right. So 2 into b square, I wrote it as so what are the factors for 144? 1, 144, 272, 436, 16, 9, 25. So 32, 24 and 6. Yes. So a square plus 24a minus 6a minus 144 is equal to 0. So a into a plus 24 minus 6 into a plus 24 equal to 0. So a is minus 24 or 6. I cannot take a is equal to minus 24. No? If I take a is equal to minus 24, then the distance will become negative. So if I take 6, okay, if I take a to be 6, then e is how much? E is 2. If e is 2, b is how much? B is equal to root of a square e square minus a square. So root of 144 minus 36. So how much is it? Root of 8 root 108. So b square is 108. So what will be the required equation? Y square by a square minus x square by 108 is 1. Is this right? Did you understand what I did? Guys, did you understand or not? So we'll do one last problem and then we can wind up. So everything else is this only. So this exercise, I'm giving it as homework. You guys can do it.
Tomorrow, sir.
Okay. So completed by Monday Monday we'll start next chapter, that is three-dimensional geometry. That I think we can finish in one day itself. It's a very small chapter. Okay. So this
I
is
have a
homework.
doubt.
Yeah, tell me. Tell.
So you taught us
You have a doubt?
binomial theorem, not in this chapter. Portions.
Yeah, actually I taught you, but it's not there.
So there's no binomial theorem.
No, there is no. But it's better you learn because you have to apply it in probability and all.
Yes.
I think we did everything, right? Every problem from the tech chapter.
Yes, sir. You did so.
No issue. It will help you for other exams. Okay. So that's it. That's it for today from my side. Just wait, don't leave.